What's going on, my good people? Welcome into the H&H podcast. That's Henry Lake. I'm Ahmad Hicks. So, had a little bit of a hiatus the last couple of weeks. Some things going on. We got busy, but in that time, some things transpired. General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was fired by the Minnesota Vikings. And I think that's something that I don't think we predicted, but we said that maybe something had to happen with his track record, with his resume, what he had not done in the draft and whatnot. And then he was let go. But I think the reason we all know he was let go is because the Wolves, the owners of the Vikings, had to watch Sam Darnold compete and get ready to go on to the Super Bowl. And he actually won the Super Bowl, and I think that rubbed them the wrong way.
Yeah, so I agree with you 100%. The bottom line is that Kwesi did not do enough draft-wise for him to keep his job.
Facts.
We know that the bulk of the success that he had, and it's not to say that they didn't have a couple of years of double-digit wins. So we know that they had a couple of years that were really good and a couple of years that were down. But if you're the Wilf family, you're probably embarrassed.
Ooh.
Because you feel like, okay, hold on.
What a word
We
choice.
have been struggling.
Yeah.
This entire season at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy that was in our building last year is winning the Super Bowl. He's in the Super Bowl and potentially can win the Super Bowl, and he did. I think that they probably were like, man, we don't like how that looks.
Yeah.
That does not look good for Kwesi. It doesn't look good for us. It doesn't look good for everybody. So we gotta go ahead and do something. And this is not a surprise to me.
No, it's not a surprise to me either, and I think they honestly dodged a huge bullet had they let Kwesi Adofo-Mensah stay another offseason and do what he needed to do. Because if you go back and you look at his draft history, 28 draft picks in his 4 years here in Minnesota. 14 are on the roster right now, so only half of his draft picks are on the team 4 years later. That's horrible. And then only 3 are starters. And the 3 you're talking about, you give Jalen Naylor that, but he's really not a starter. It's Jordan Addison. So Jordan Addison, Will Riker. Those are your starters.
Wow.
Those are your starters. Jordan
Jordan
Addison, Will Riker, and then Levi Drake Rodriguez. You could sprinkle in there. He's a good rotation player on the defensive line. Outside of that, Jalen Naylor maybe. I mean,
well, you
and Dallas Turner, but he's not starting unless Grenard's out. So potentially 5 starters out of 28 draft picks for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah.
And Dallas Turner, the second of the first-round picks you had when you took J.J., is a better player at this particular point than J.J. McCarthy is. That's a bad look for him,
and I'll
too.
say J.J. Yeah, so 6 starters.
Yeah.
Potentially 6 out of 28.
And J.J. just, like, when you screw up and you don't hit at QB, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
I don't care what team. I don't care what coach. It is a problem.
It's a problem when you don't hit at quarterback, and then when your quarterback doesn't pan out, and then you have to look at the rest of your draft picks, and your owners look at that, and they're like, you did good in free agency the first 2 years, but last year was horrible.
There's a lot of positions you can mess up at. Quarterback's not one of them.
Quarterback's not one, and that's why that leads me to believe that I don't think Kevin O'Connell is on the verge of being fired, but I think he's in a very make it or break it year for him. You talk about a guy who had the label of quarterback whisperer and, could develop a quarterback. We all know that the Vikings picking J.J. McCarthy and choosing to stick with J.J. McCarthy over Sam Darnold was not just on Adofo-Mensah. We all know Kevin O'Connell had a hand in that, a huge hand in that. He picked J.J. McCarthy to stick around over Sam Darnold, we're sure of. So that being said, this is your guy. You only went out and won 9 games with him this year. You got to do better next year because, like the Wolf said, everybody's being evaluated, including Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell, I like what he's done with the Minnesota Vikings organization. I think he's a good coach, but he's on the hot seat, officially on the hot seat. Like, he has to get them back to the postseason. They have to have a good year this year, or I believe they're moving on because there are other good coaches out there that are waiting to get a job. We hear the rumors all the time. Well, Brian Flores, he'd be just as good. He's in-house. Mike Tomlin just, stepped away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to be highly coveted every offseason, right? Like, there's no jump for him to have to go get a job tomorrow because we already know he's a Hall of Fame coach. But as long as he's sitting out there, and a guy that used to be a defensive coach here with the Minnesota Vikings, that name's going to be lingering. So KOC's got to get it done.
Yeah, I think that KOC is definitely an approver year for him. I think, but if he can just get J.J. McCarthy to go out there and play above average football, and they can, make some splashes on that interior defensive line this year and go get some bona fide studs and then shore up that offensive line, I think this is still a team. I mean, look, we saw it last year. They went 9-8, and J.J. McCarthy finished the year 6-4 as a starter, and he was pretty mediocre, like if we're putting it mildly. So, like, this is a team that – it's still a playoff-capable team. Like, had they beat the Chicago Bears in Minnesota and didn't allow that kick return from Duvernay and then Santos a walk-off field goal, they probably go to the playoffs this year. And I think that says a lot about the team who, according to so many analysts and critics, were so bad.
Yeah, and, you just touched on it. Like, they just have to figure it out at quarterback. Like, JJ's got to be better.
Yeah.
When you've got Justin Jefferson at the Super Bowl on Radio Row, and he's constantly talking about Sam Darnold.
I was getting to that next. I was getting to that next because so many people brought up to Justin Jefferson about his thoughts about the quarterback position. He always takes the high road, but he's like, "Look, I'm the best receiver in the National Football League. Like, I put up 1,000 yards this year with not an elite quarterback, with a young quarterback, an inexperienced quarterback, one that's still growing." And then you got Aaron Jones being asked about the situation, and he was like, look, when you got a quarterback that won 14 games, he wants to be in Minnesota, he likes the team likes him, you would have hoped they would have done whatever they needed to do to keep him around. Like, if I'm J.J. McCarthy and I'm hearing all my offensive guys come out here and talk about if we had Sam Darnold, we probably would have been better. Oh, it was a slow year because of our quarterback. Like, that does not make you feel good if you're J.J. McCarthy, but that has to motivate you.
Yeah, but I actually think that, and I know that people disagree with me on this, and I love when guys are honest and they're transparent. I do think that commentary was a little bit of a mistake by Justin Jefferson. This is the only reason why I say this is because, man, you might have potentially just crushed the confidence of your quarterback.
I won't say you crushed the confidence because I think that guy's just like overly confident in himself. I don't think I asked him this after the last game when he got hurt, pulling himself out at home against the Packers practice squad pretty much. And I said, mentally, how are you? He said, as long as I'm breathing, I'm still in it. I still got it. He said, I got a dog in the fight. He was like, I'm never out of it mentally. And I think that's what you need. You need a guy who's mentally tough in that position, but mentally tough only takes you so far. You got to be physically tough and able to withstand a 17-game season. And then you got to go out there and deliver when the lights are the brightest. Like, not just like for 15 minutes out of a 60-minute game, but for a full 60. But I will say, Radio Row did not do J.J. McCarthy any well.
No.
This past week between Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson, two big names in the Vikings organization. They didn't bash him, but they also didn't say a lot of great things that instilled a lot of confidence in the young guys. So you will hope that he bounces back from that. Now, that being said, speaking basketball, the Wolves were a little bit stagnant, started playing a little bit better. Word was they were going after Giannis Antetokounmpo. But I didn't agree with all that because I felt like they were having to give up too much.
Thank you.
They would have had to give up Dillingham, Terrence Shannon, and Jaden, and possibly Nas.
You're not getting rid of Jaden.
That's too much. That's too much. And then you had pretty much Anthony Edwards coming out, and he didn't like publicly say it, but he was like, after one game, he's like, yeah, amid the trade rumors, Jaden McDaniels, yeah, that's my guy. He's my favorite player. He's one of the best players in the NBA. When he goes, we go, and I hope he stays around. That was pretty much a message to Tim Connolly, like, you let my boy go, we going to have some problems.
Yep.
And they didn't let him go. They kept him around, which I think is great because Giannis, Greek the Freak, is injury-prone right now, and he probably only has a couple of years left in his prime window.
Thank you.
Whereas Jaden McDaniels and Nas Reed haven't even entered their prime, nor has Anthony Edwards. And I think you should do everything in your power to keep that core intact.
100%. I really can't add too much to that because – to be honest with you, that's the entire take that I've had the last several weeks. I was totally anti going for the Greek Freak because I just didn't feel like – and look, we love Giannis, right? Like, he's an all-timer. He's a Hall of Famer. He's still phenomenal at playing basketball, but he's past his prime.
Absolutely.
And the injuries have consistently been mounting the last 3 seasons. Jaden McDaniels is not even in his prime yet. Anthony Edwards is not even in his prime yet.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So we're not doing that.
And it's like with Giannis, you look at it like, oh, man, he can't be stopped. But, yeah, like calf strain after calf strain.
Yep.
That's not good because you know what comes after a calf strain? An Achilles tear. And then you're talking about missing a whole year where you just gave up,
everything,
half of your team. And then you got a guy who's injured. Well, who's Ant playing with after that? So I love what they did.
Me?
They went out and traded. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They got to call us. So they went out. Tim Connolly said, well, we're not going to stand pat. Like, he quickly moved on from Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then he said, you know what? We're going to go get a backup point guard. Traded away Rob Dillingham. Sent him to Chicago. Brought in a guy in Ayo Dosunmo and Julian Phillips. Ayo Dosunmo is a guy I covered when I was in St. Louis when he played at Illinois. Clutch as it gets. Like,
he's a dog too.
Big shot maker, can attack downhill. You put two on Ant, good luck having him on the wing because he's hitting that triple or he's driving and kicking, maybe alive that Rudy Gobert or something like that. So,
and defensively,
yes,
he will put
he'll
put them paws on.
He's a dog.
He really will.
Yeah. So,
long arms. I've always loved this game going back to Illinois.
Me too. And so when I saw that trade, I was like, I love this. Yep. I was like, I said this to somebody. They're like, well, this gets us right back to the Western Conference Finals. I said, let's take a step back. So all this does is fill the void that Nickeil Alexander-Walker left behind.
Yep.
And with that being said, they were still one piece away with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They don't have that one piece this year. Do they have enough with Ayo Dosunmo to get over the hump?
Yeah, to get to the finals, I think that IU is good enough to propel them to a level that we haven't seen since Nickeil. So they're clearly better. Is he Nickeil, though? I'm not sure that I'm going to go that far. But I guess, one of the things that I'm thinking about right now with this team is that we have made some acquisitions. We've made some trades that have put this team in a better spot. I think that we all would agree, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that as we talk about GMs and their work, and I like Tim Connolly. Tim Connolly's a great dude.
Where are you going with this?
Hold on, man. Tim's made some mistakes too. Yeah.
I need you to elaborate. Like,
okay.
For people listening to this on podcast, I just almost fell out my chair.
Okay. I'm going to elaborate. In what I mean by Tim Connolly needs to do a better job is not all his draft picks have been the bomb. Like hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
Rob Dillingham.
Number 8.
Let's just call it for what and they traded up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't work out.
It did not.
Okay, that didn't work out at this particular point. And we like him, but Terrence Shannon Jr. hasn't worked out. I know he's injured, but we just got to call it like we see it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go even before that. Wendell Moore Jr. was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
That did not work out.
Yeah.
That did not work out.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that actually worked out and got you tick from that draft was Josh Minot. Think about that for a second. So let's not sit here and act like Kwesi was the only GM in the market that's fumbled.
Okay, let me counter.
Tim's fumbled a little bit.
Let me counter with this. The talent pool in the NFL is far greater than the NBA. And I think we can all agree, outside of the first 12 picks in the first round of the NBA draft, that talent is limited, man.
Oh, I wouldn't say limited. You can find gems, bro. He's the guy that found the Joker. I'm not knocking Tim.
That's
Tim's,
like a once in a lifetime player.
Yeah, but he's done it though. And to me, we can give him props, but also criticize. He also went and grabbed for nothing a guy that he liked in Denver in Bones Highland. Bones Highland's been productive for the Wolves this year.
Just inconsistent.
So I'm not hating on Tim. Tim, I love Tim. Me and Tim talked some old school hoops last year, just about some old school guys. But I think that we have to weight everything in the conversation.
Yeah, because I guess since I've been here in Minnesota, his draft picks have been Jalen Clark, Leonard Miller, and Leonard Miller was just shipped away. Zakarsky, Berenger, neither one of them are playing.
I love Berenger.
And then I do too.
Ooh, he's gonna be a monster.
I think Berenger is gonna be nice.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be real.
He has a nonstop motor. I love that.
He's
about him.
already. His development is better than what I thought it would be at this point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, his summer league was great. The minutes that he gets with the Timberwolves has been great. He just has a nonstop motor, and guys like that, you can always win behind them. So I think he did hit a home run with Berenger.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Zakarsky, so you don't know what you're going to get from him. But in the previous draft, Terrence Jr., Rob Dillingham didn't get much from either one of those guys yet. So since I've been here, Tim Connolly hasn't hit home runs in the draft, but I feel like he's not swinging and missing to the extent that Kwesi was. I mean, you look at Kwesi's drafts in 4 years. Jordan Addison and Will Riker are his 2 best draft picks.
But it's also how we view drafts, though, too. So, like,
Drafts
there's
is
more
where
rounds. There are more rounds in the NFL where you have a little bit of leeway. Like, if a guy ends up being a special teamer and you grabbed him in the 4th round, whatever,
Yeah.
you give him a little bit more credit. Like, the average or the casual NBA fan, they don't even care about second-round picks. I'm that guy that's in the gym. No, I am, too. I'm the guy that's in the gym at NBA Summer League sitting there like, okay, what the second-round pick going to do?
Right.
Okay, he going to be G League? Yeah, he definitely G League. Oh, hold on. This dude got something.
Right.
That's how I evaluate.
Yeah. It's crazy, but
I might overdo it at times.
A little bit. little bit, but that's kind of what we do in the role of sports reporters and radio analysts and things like that. So I think Tim deserves a little bit of criticism. You had a fair point. You had a good breakdown of it. But
And I'm a fan.
Yeah, but I also think that these guys on his team have to step it up. Like Rudy Gobert called them out for their defensive intensity, things like that. Just lock in. Lock in, let's see what we got. I think this is a good team, but they're losing a lot of confidence from the national media because of the way they've been inconsistent as of late.
And the reason why I believe just calling it like I see it in I'll call it mild criticism of Tim Conley is appropriate is because when you make a Rudy Gobert deal and you ship out all those draft picks, that means that you have to be better with the draft picks you still have remaining. If I give you a bunch of money and the money I got remaining in my wallet, I gotta watch my spending.
No, I agree with you on that one. And I think that's a good place to end this one. So we'll obviously keep tracking things as it plays out here for the Timberwolves as the All-Star break approaches for them. And then shortly after that, you already know, playoffs essentially start because they're trying to avoid the play-in game, get to a top 6 seed, whereas, other teams are trying to get into the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Vikings promoted one of their guys to interim GM, Rob Brzezinski, another financial guy. We didn't really talk about that, but I'll save my thoughts on that for another podcast.
We'll get to that next week. And then pitchers and catchers report
tomorrow,
I think. Yeah, so it's about to get real.
Yeah, Jim Rich is headed down to Florida for us here momentarily, so it's going to be a good week for everybody there. Warm weather in Florida. It's not looking great for the Twins. I looked at their payroll or something like that for this year. It's like $35 million, and I think that's not even close to what the average is.
The Twins will be better than people expect. That's what I predict.
Like, I sure hope so, because their roster does not look better than last year, and last year was pretty bad. So we will see. We will cross our fingers and hope. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in with us. Make sure you check back in next week when we'll drop another episode of the H&H Podcast. Have a great week.